Welcome back to Lighthouse and Architecture, the podcast, where we explore the stories, design, and human history behind the lights that guard our coastline. I'm Basil, and today is a special one. My guest is Elinor DeWire, author, historian, and one of the most respected voices in the lighthouse world today. She's traveled thousands of miles, climbed countless tower steps, and helped preserve the stories that most people never get to hear. In this episode, we're going from her childhood curiosity to the first lighthouse that truly captured her imagination. Plus, the most beautiful, the most remote, and even the scariest lighthouse experiences she's had along the way. So let's get into it. First question for you. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning to you.
Before we jump into it, what do you wish people understood about lighthouses? If you had to tell them in a minute or two, what would it be?
There's a lot of romanticism surrounding lighthouses, thinking it was the greatest job in the world. You could just go off and not be bothered with people and read a lot of books and sleep a lot and all that. And it's just not so. It's a very difficult job, very lonely for a lot of people, and very dangerous in many ways.
Yeah. Okay. And then off the subject, when people meet you, what do they usually get wrong about you?
um, well, some of them think I'm very young, and I'm not. I'm 72, and that's just the opposite of what it was when I first started researching and writing. They thought I was an old lady when I was in my late 20s. So, yeah, the age is one thing. And I often get the comment that I'm a personable author. I just like to talk to people and meet people and find out what they like, what their favorite lighthouse is, and so on. So I think that kind of capitalizes it.
And I would agree with that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Okay, so now let's go back to the beginning. What were you like as a child? Like quiet observer, class clown, bookworm, adventurer, troublemaker? What were you like?
Oh, all of those things, absolutely. Yeah. I was the youngest of, well, actually, I had 8 half brothers and sisters. So in some sense, I'm an only child, but then there are all those half siblings from my parents' previous marriages, and then they got married and they had me. Um, so a big family life. Uh, we were not well off, and there was a lot of competition between all of us kids for the resources. My mom would buy a 6-pack of Coca-Cola. This is back in the 50s, and there would be a big fight and sneak to try to get the Coca-Cola or the ice cream or whatever she had
Right.
done. Yeah. So I was a very competitive child in a lot of ways. Avid reader. I spent my summers lying on the glider on the front porch reading books. The first one I remember really, really loving was the Wonderful Wizard of Oz
Oh my
series.
gosh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, love those books. And he wrote a lot of them that people didn't read, but I did. So I knew all of his work, and he really was an inspiration in a lot of ways. When I got older, I like junior high school, it was James Michener's books. He was a great historical fiction writer, and I think even at that age, I might not have known it, but that was one of the things I longed to do. And after I wrote a whole lot of lighthouse books, I thought, I'm getting jaded here. How much more can I say? So I wrote 4 novels now that are out there, and I
boy.
think that
Gotta get my hands on
surprised that surprised a lot of my followers. They were like, "Wait a minute, you write about lighthouses? What's this?"
it.
But the feedback has been great with that. So I was a bookworm. I was very scholarly. I wasn't interested in social stuff so much, didn't go to dances or parties and things. First of all, we lived way out in the country, so I couldn't get there. Was happy to be with my own company, if you know what I mean. A little bit of an introvert, yeah. And when I was in 5th grade, I won $10. Get this, Basil, $10 from the the Newmarket Elementary School PTA for a story I wrote about a dog. And I thought, hey, this is a way to make money. $10. Back then, it stretched pretty far, I guess. It was a lot to have in my hand. Yeah, and then when I graduated from high school, they gave me a little scholarship for excellence in English. So I knew pretty early on that I could do this. But it was actually my mother-in-law, after I married in late 1972, I would write her letters and put little poems in them. And, oh, my cuckoo clock, I'm sorry.
Oh, I heard it. Lovely. Love it. I love it. Leave it. We're going to keep that in there.
Okay. Well, I have a bunch of clocks. I like clocks. The whole concept of time is cool. This one has dancers. They're whirling around up there now. Anyway, my mother-in-law told me to put down the broom and mop and pick up the pen. She was trying to tell me that I was good at writing and I should do it. So I credit her with giving me some inspiration too. She passed away a couple years ago at 103.
Wow.
So I had her for a long time in my life. Yeah. And my own mother always encouraged reading and education and curiosity and imagination. She was wonderful that way. Of course, she had a horde of kids and a husband and for a time a farm to take care of. So I think she would have been a good writer too. She just never had time to sit down, and when she did, to rest. Yeah.
It was totally different back then. And I have a son and I try to tell him that, but they're not going to get that until they live it.
No, and change is happening so rapidly in our society now. It just, you can't keep up with it, and their world is so different from ours. But I do love that my granddaughters are occasionally curious about what things were like when their grandfather and I were kids,
Yeah.
We had to make our own fun.
Yes.
And I was a great maker of mud pies. Yeah.
I hope you didn't eat them.
No, but my mom gave me some, I don't know, stale something that she had to put on them one day, and apparently the dogs thought it was yummy because they started eating this. Crazy dogs.
So now the ultimate question that everybody probably wants to know is, when did you first marvel at a lighthouse?
Well, I was 19 years old. I got married young. I was able to go to college for a little while, ran out of money, went home, worked. I had met my future husband. There goes another cuckoo clock.
Okay.
Sorry.
We love it.
And we decided to just go ahead and get married because we thought we could live cheaper that way. And of course, we were madly in love.
Right.
Anyway, he had gone in the U.S. Navy because it was Vietnam, and he figured he was going to get drafted. So he went in the Navy, and after we were married, the first place we lived was at a naval air station in Maine. And Maine, oh my gosh, talk about lighthouses.
Yep.
There's 6 of them, I think. But we didn't have any money. We had this little 68 Volkswagen Beetle, and and 67, I think it was. And he hardly fit in it. He was a big guy. He still is. But our fun was to jump in that thing and go to the ocean. And we went to Popham Beach, which is near Bath at the mouth of the Kennebec River. And the first time he took me, it was cold. It was like end of January, freezing cold, and waves were crashing, and wind was blowing. And I looked out and I saw this white spike sticking up on an island. And I thought, what the heck is that? I mean, like farm kid, you know? And I realized it was a lighthouse. And it just really caught my imagination. I thought somebody lives out there, keep the light. They're there whether there's storms or fair weather. That is just awesome. So I had my husband John bring me books from the Naval Base Library, because I just read and read and read. And one of the books he brought was Edward Rowe Snow's Lighthouses of New England. And I discovered that that lighthouse was the Gwynn Lighthouse, and that it was a lonely place. It was very historic. It was one of the brightest in New England, maybe was the brightest at the time. And I learned all about it, and that just caught my interest. So I was asking him all the time, can we go to the ocean and see if there's other lighthouses? So that's how I got my interest in it. I blame him. That's the one. But I think that many books later and many lighthouses later, and now we travel overseas to see them. And I've seen most of them in the U.S. and a lot of them overseas. And I'm always wanting to know more about them, not just take a picture, not just climb if that's available, but know the history and the human story.
Yeah, that's why I loved your book.
Great. Good.
Now, was that same lighthouse you first visited? Did you actually get to climb in that one and go to the top?
You know what? I have never been out there. We were stationed in Maine for a couple of years, and of course we would have had to hire a boat to go out.
To get out there.
Yeah, we didn't have two red cents to rub together, so we ended up getting transferred to Norfolk then. And there's a number of lighthouses down in that area, and I did get to finally climb when we lived down there. And every place we were stationed, Hawaii, Florida, Washington, Connecticut, where we are now. And then my husband did a lot of traveling for the Navy, technical work, and sometimes I'd go with him. So, yeah, I got to see them. Really, it's like almost like a fever, you know. It just gets higher and hotter, and I want to see more and learn more.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of filing cabinets full of research and a huge library in my office. Yeah, it's just my thing. And I'll say I might not know where my car keys are or something like that, you know, but I do know a little bit about lighthouses.
I would say. Now, if you could pick one lighthouse story, I know that's going to be really difficult for you, but if you could pick one lighthouse story, what would it be? And what was it like? And how, and did it change you in any which way?
Well, early on, people didn't understand my fascination. You know, it's just a lighthouse. What, are you crazy?
Right.
No. I was like an obsession with me. One time I was here in Connecticut, and we have a beautiful lighthouse here at the mouth of the Thames River, and it's the New London Harbor Lighthouse. I think it's the third oldest site of a lighthouse in the country. And the tower that's there now was built about 1804, I believe. And it's gorgeous. It's one of those octagonal, conical type stone, beautiful rocks all around it and so forth. And I think I must have been in my mid-20s. And we got stationed here in Connecticut at the submarine base for the first time. And I jumped in the car and went down to the mouth of the river to find this lighthouse, and discovered there were two there. There was one out in the middle of the estuary, and then this one, New London Harbor. And I couldn't really get to it because there were a lot of houses and the trees were in the way, taking a picture and all. So I thought, I know, it's safe to walk on the tide line. You're not walking on anybody's property if you're on the tide line. And I jumped down on the beach and went to the tide line, got my sneakers wet, and I walked around all these houses to get to the lighthouse and take pictures. And I had just started photographing, and a woman came racing out of what had been the keeper's quarters years before with a broom, and she told me to get off her property, and she was sick and tired of people, going on her property to see this lighthouse. And she raised the broom, and I swear she was going to hit me. I kept trying to tell her, no, I'm on the tide line. I'm not coming up on your property. Well, that's my property, she said. The tide line, the water there, just get off my property. I'm not a confrontational person, and I thought, well, I better get moving or I'm going to get swamped with a broom. And it just really, really left a sadness inside me about people not realizing that lighthouses belong to all of us. They're there for everybody who needs them, appreciates them, whatever. So, yeah, I got over that pretty quick, though. I started going all the way out to the end of the rocks to get good pictures. Sometimes I got out in the water. It's just an experience to me. My heartbeat goes up when I get near one.
Yeah, I'm like that too. My wife is like, she was telling a story to friends, and she's like, "Yeah, I took Basil. He went to the Jupiter Inlet, and for his birthday, I took him there." And then she said, "Yeah, he just left me."
She didn't matter as much as that lighthouse.
No, it's for some reason it's just like when I get there and I go in the museum, it's like I don't bother me, just leave me alone. So she said I just went, read a book, left you for 2 hours, and then
Yeah,
I figured you'd come and look for me when you were
right.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, she and my husband would be kindred spirits there because sometimes he just lays down in the grass and takes a nap. He does what he knows he has to do, like get things out of the way that I don't want in my picture, and then he'll just go off and relax until I'm done. Yeah. Jupiter,
Yeah.
the first time I saw that was in the 70s, and the Coast Guard was still there. And I have to say the Coast Guard has been really kind to me over the years. They've let me in a lot of lighthouses, given me the keys to them and so on. But I was walking around and there was a Coast Guardsman working, and he greeted me and all, and I started asking him about the hurricane that had broken the lens. I don't remember what year it was, but it was long before his time. And he said, yeah, there's that replacement panel is up there that they put in for that. So would you like to see it? And I'm like, let me think about it. And he took me up, and we got about halfway up, and he had a pen in his hand, a ink pen, and he dropped it, and it went glunk, 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 down the stairs to the bottom. It was the creepiest sound I ever heard. And we talked about ghosts, and because a lot of people think lighthouses are haunted, and I'm not a person who believes in ghosts, but I totally understand why.
Yeah.
you'd think that with the sounds and the shadows and the air currents moving up and down lighthouses are kind of like chimneys. They move the air, and they need to stay dry. But I got all the way up at the top, and there was that glorious lens. And I was just so thankful. I tried to find him after my Florida book came out in 1987 because I was going to give him one. But I couldn't find him anywhere. Yeah. That's a great one.
Speaking of scary, have you ever gone to a lighthouse that was supposedly haunted or scary?
Oh, yes, lots of them. Cedar Head out in Oregon is one of the more haunted ones, I guess you'd say. And I've stayed in the keeper's house, and it's the keeper's house more than anything else where people think they've seen ghosts, heard ghosts, felt the presence of someone's spirit. And I never had. I went there with my daughter once, and we were sleeping in the same bed in a room that supposedly was occupied by the keeper's wife, whose child died. And that's why they think she haunts the ground.
Right.
But my daughter had burned her hand on some water. She was making tea, and she burned her hand during the day, and it was hurting at night. So she went down to the kitchen. After we had gotten in bed, she got up and went to the kitchen and got some ice cubes and put them in a little plastic bag to relieve the pain in her hand from the burn. And while she was gone, she left the door ajar, and I could see the light coming in from the hallway. And I heard this scratching sound, and then suddenly something jumped on the bed or sat on the bed. And I looked. I was a little afraid, but I did, and I couldn't see anything. And then pretty soon I felt something touching me on my back. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, about the time I was ready to get up, Jessica came back up, and when she opened the door, just enough light came in for me to see that there was a cat on the bed. They had a couple of cats in the house. Oh, such relief.
Oh gosh.
I love cats, but not ghosts.
Oh, that was a good story. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just be careful if you stay there, because everybody who works there believes they've encountered this woman. Anyway.
So, are there still any lighthouses that you haven't seen that you would like to see, and which ones?
Goodness, yes. One that I was just talking to someone the other day about, and they asked me a very similar question, and it's Europa Point at Gibraltar. I've not been to Gibraltar. I've been to a lot of the European coast and the Baltic, the Med, Greece, and, the European countries, the UK. I've been to Australia, I've been to New Zealand, chasing lighthouses, but there's a lot of long, beautiful history associated with Europa Point. It belongs to England, as you probably know, and so Trinity House, which is England's lighthouse authority, they take care of Europa Point, and it stands on the north side of the gates of Hercules that lead into the Mediterranean. It's a very narrow spot, and there's a lot of wrecks there. In fact, there was a tanker wreck there just maybe 25 years ago. The Federa, I think it was called, it's an oil tanker. And I have an amazing picture of beautiful Europa Point Lighthouse with this ship wrecked up against the rocks there. It's just a reminder that lighthouses aren't obsolete. We still need them.
Yeah.
It was a sad thing to have that oil spill there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that one for sure. And if I get back to England, I want to see the Roman lighthouse at Dover. it's still there. Not all of it, but most of it, because that's a very old one.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
I could go on, but
I'm sure you can. I just wanted to,
leave it at that.
okay, and then it was so what do you hope your work leaves behind for the next generation of lighthouse lovers?
Oh, that's a great question. When I started uh, enjoying lighthouses, researching, photographing, there weren't a lot of people. It took me a while to find some compatriots in lighthouse love, if you want to call it that. So I hope that they have a more accessible experience than I did when I was young. I hope they uh, focus as much on the history, on the human story, because, with so many lighthouses being automated, we don't have people there anymore.
Right.
Unless they're groups that are caretaking. And so I hope they can embrace that history, because there's a famous quote attributed to me, pretty famous anyway. I keep running into it. It's quote, lighthouses are not just brick and stone and glass. There's a human story there. And that's the story I want to tell, unquote. So I hope that they can get that human story, because that's what's so beautiful about it. The word lighthouse has house in it, so it suggests somebody ought to live there.
Right.
But we've come to a time when technology means we don't need anybody there. And I hope we never get to the point where we don't need any lighthouses.
Yeah.
I think it's something that people are, whether they're nostalgic or needy, they still want to see a lighthouse when they're navigating. You can look at your GPS or you can look at the stars, but it's just nice to see that light.
Yeah, it is.
Here.
It
Yeah.
is. I know my grandfather, who lived in Andros, and he would take the sailboat. I mean, and we were like, he lived till he was 97. We were like,
Oh,
Papa, why don't you take the plane? He's like, no, and because the flight was 5 minutes, the boat was 2.5 hours,
yeah.
and he would rather
Yeah.
take the boat. And I remember I went with him one time, and you just see this blue ocean, blue nothing. It was because it's called the tongue of the ocean between one island and the
Yeah.
next. And coming back into Nassau, you have to come by Paradise Island, and you see that lighthouse there. And as soon as you could see that on the horizon, you're like, oh yeah, we're almost there now. It's like a great feeling that when you see that. Okay, I'm gonna go for some rapid fire fun questions now. Okay, sunrise or sunset?
What's that?
Sunset. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Favorite breakfast, is it sweet or savory?
I prefer sweet, but I know that's not so good for me. Yeah.
So you like the sweet, but the sweet don't like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm at the age where it's backfiring on me.
Yeah, same here. Same here with me. Pizza or burger?
Probably a burger.
Okay. Now, I probably know the answer to this. I had it written in here, but I know the answer. On a beach day, you would read a book or explore.
Oh, what a decision.
I know, because you do both.
I want to do both. But I can read a book anywhere. I don't always have a beach to explore. So beachcombing is one of my favorite activities. Absolutely.
Okay.
That.
Can you remember the best sunset you've ever seen and where?
Well, I have to say it was on the Oregon coast. My daughter and I were going down the coast with a tour group, and I was telling them all about the lighthouses. And we stopped for lunch. And Jessica, my daughter, and I were sitting in this restaurant that overlooked the ocean. And it was coming on to sunset. And I turned to her and I said, I wonder if we'll see the green flash. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's a astronomical phenomenon where when the sun sets, at the very moment it disappears below the horizon, all the colors flash at once, but green is the one that you can see. So it'll look like a little bead of green or a little line of green is sitting on the horizon for a second or two or three, and then it disappears. It's a very rare thing, and I think I was, in my 40s the first time I saw it, and that was the place. And we were both looking, and she turned and looked at me and said, "Mom, I think we saw it." I said, "Yes, you're right, we did." Yeah, and I've not seen it since. It's just an amazing thing. I love amateur astronomy too. I have a big telescope, and I've written a couple of astronomy books. So, the stars are just lighthouses in the sky, as far as I'm concerned.
That reminds me that the Cape Florida lighthouse tomorrow, they're doing a stargazing with some guys are bringing all their telescopes, and you could watch it from there.
Mm-hmm. Great place to look at the stars.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Best beach you've ever visited?
Oh my gosh. That's beach. Well, I like a rugged beach more than just a flat barrier beach. Oh gosh, you're throwing me a curveball.
It's okay.
I think because the Aegean Sea is so pretty, it's just the most beautiful color of blue you've ever seen. That very, very dark blue. I was on a beach on the Attic Peninsula of Greece, and that was just so gorgeous. It was a combination of rocks and sand and all kinds of sea glass and broken pieces of pottery and stuff on the beach, and then that blue Aegean. And I got to tell my friends the story of King Aegeus, and he's the one that the sea is named for, and what happened to him as he waited for his son to return from war, and his son didn't return, so he jumped into the sea and drowned. And then right after that, his son returned. So there's a message in that story. But yeah, a beach for me is a collective experience. It's the scenery, it's the history, it's the weather, all of that. And I did really have a great day there. I don't remember the name of the beach, but it was a great experience.
Last two.
Okay.
Favorite song?
Favorite song. Well, I like Old Fashioned Love Song by Three Dog Night, because that was the song that my husband and I loved when we were going together. Like that one. Gosh, I love music. There's so many songs.
I know.
Holy cow. Let's just go with that one, because I've been married 53 years and a wonderful life partner, and that's our song.
Okay. And last one, if you could live in any lighthouse for a week, which one and why?
It's funny you should say that, because I have been in lighthouses for a week or more.
Wow.
New Dungeness Lighthouse in Washington State on the Strait of Juan de Fuca. I've been a keeper there 4 or 5 times, and you stay a week each time. I stayed a week at a lighthouse in Greece. But let's see, my dream come true would be one of the lighthouses in Australia. I love their lighthouses. They are just amazing, and the whole country's amazing. I could live there, except for the snakes.
I know.
So maybe it would be Cape Otway Lighthouse in South Australia. that overlooks the Bass Strait, which is one of the most treacherous stretches of water. And the storms there are amazing, and I love storms. I just love to be in them and experience them. So it would be one of the Australian lighthouses, I'm sure. There's penguins there too, if you can believe it or
There are
not.
penguins in Australia on that side? I didn't know that.
Yeah, South Australia. Yeah, New Zealand, the same thing. The South Island has penguins. Yeah, yeah. You know, they love Australia and New Zealand too, I guess.
So I think that was all. I didn't want to go longer than 30 minutes, but is there any other thing? I'm sure there's something that I didn't mention that you want to talk about and I can share with the viewers.
Well, you know, I could just talk for hours, so I think we'll let it go with this.
Okay.
I just appreciate so much what you're doing. And I've seen the number of the Bahamian lighthouses. I've not seen the one that you mentioned.
Well,
Um,
it's hope. Maybe one day we can get you there, huh? You and your husband could come and join me down there one time. Or, I don't know. We're gonna.
yeah,
Elinor, thank you for sharing your stories, your knowledge, and your heart for lighthouse history and preservation. It's been an honor, and I truly enjoyed our conversation. And to everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a quick review. It helps more lighthouse lovers find the show. You can follow Lighthouse and Architecture for new episodes and behind-the-scenes travel footage. And I'll link Elinor's work in the show notes so you can explore her books and projects. And as you heard, she has 4 novels. So get cracking on that. Until next time.